Well, it looks like Ripple's case against the SEC just got that much stronger, in which we could have a decision as early as this week, at least according to John Deaton. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what Ripple just submitted to the judge and what John Deaton speculates the time frame for this case ending, and it could be as early as this week, even possibly today. So we're going to be talking about what the judge's history has to say about the time frames, as well as what Ripple submitted to strengthen its argument if this thing actually goes to a jury trial. Also, we're going to be talking about some other things, including the price of XRP and why it isn't skyrocketing right along with Bitcoin, as well as some news about the CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and what's wrong with the banking system, and even more layoffs. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind, and right now on this channel we are covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community, and if you do a couple things, I'd appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end. Those are the two best things you can do to support a YouTube channel, so if you do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. Alright guys, let's jump into it. So before we get into some of the Ripple news, in terms of the judgments that could come down any second now, I want to talk about what's going on kind of behind the scenes. I wanted to talk about what's going on a little bit behind the scenes in the financial markets and why the price of XRP is seeming to be a little bit decoupled from the Bitcoin price action that's been really going skyrocketing the past couple of weeks. But I just wanted to let you know that there is a good possibility, if you're looking at the RSI and some of the other technical indicators, that Bitcoin price action may be coming back down very quickly. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about central bank digital currencies and what's going on with some of the banking sector and the rest of the financial markets, and the news that's going to be coming out about the FOMC meeting and the possible rate hikes or the removal of rate hikes and what that could do to the markets. So right now, we have Amazon laying off another 9,000 employees. You got coming from huge businesses all over the country. That is not slowing regardless of what some of the unemployment numbers that have come out last month were a little bit better than expected. These are not good numbers, especially from a company like Amazon. And then when you back that up with what's going on in the banking sector and the fact that there are now a ton of regional banks at risk, at least according to Janet Yellen, the United States Treasury Secretary, who basically said the United States is really only going to back the big banks. Now, she didn't exactly say that explicitly, but what she did say was that regulators basically have to make a determination in terms of which banks would have the largest systemic risk of bank runs and causing major US dollar collapse. Basically what she's saying is small banks are out of luck. And the big banks, well, of course, they're almost bulletproof at this point, and in my opinion, over the next couple of years, you're going to be seeing some major consolidation in the banking sector as the US Treasury is going to be backing up and printing more money to support those big banks. So we have that as the backdrop, and we're in some of the rate hikes that were supposed to be coming out. You have Jerome Powell, well, he's continuing to push his rate hikes because he's in this battle with inflation. But now you have this backdrop of major banking collapse, or at least the threat of major banking collapse if the United States Treasury doesn't step in some cases. And part of the reason for these banking collapses were because of the rate hikes were going so high. The Treasury bonds that these banks were holding were then becoming underwater compared to the newer bonds worth a lot more. So if rates are not pulled back, as Elon Musk most recently suggested that they should, it could cause further damage. So we're going to be seeing with the United States Treasury what Jerome Powell is going to be saying tomorrow. And if that information comes out that he's going to continue to push rates higher, I believe you're going to see some of the craziest movements and volatility in the stock market and in the cryptocurrency market. In fact, some of the reasons why Bitcoin has been skyrocketing recently is because of the distrust and mistrust in falling value of the US dollar and the mistrust of the US banking system. Some people taking a portion of what they have and putting it into Bitcoin, as well as silver, gold, and other commodities. When we have something like that, you look at the rest of the crypto market and say, well, why is it skyrocketing as well? Why aren't altcoins moving up? In fact, most of them are in the red while Bitcoin's moving up. Bitcoin dominance is also moving up. Well, I believe there's a little bit of a decoupling because Bitcoin is that big name that most people already know about. Now, when you have XRP, which is also considered an altcoin, albeit a very large one, you're still having some of that effect, as well as the fact that Ripple is still in this case with the SEC, and a lot of people are in a wait-and-see mode. Why? Because any day now we could be hearing from Judge Annalisa Torres on several things. On whether or not Ripple is in fact guilty of selling an investment contract through the sales of XRP. Is the win going to go to the SEC, or is it in fact going to go to Ripple, which would be a catastrophic loss for the SEC? Or are we going to see this thing go all the way to a jury trial? And if it does, Ripple's case just got all the more strong by what they just submitted to Judge Torres. In fact, just yesterday they submitted a notice of further supplemental support against in their case, this regarding fair notice, regarding a recent ruling that came down in the Southern District of New York, which is in the exact same district that the Ripple versus SEC case is, and you can bet Judge Annalisa Torres has already seen this ruling. Well, there was a ruling in the recent Voyager bankruptcy case in which the SEC was basically trying to prevent a sale of assets going from Voyager to Binance from actually going through. Now, the judge in this case really laid it on thick on the SEC, basically giving them some pretty harsh words in terms of what makes a cryptocurrency a security. And this plays exactly into Ripple's favor because because of their defense this entire time, which has been the fair notice defense, meaning there was no clarity in what XRP or any digital asset was. Now, if you've been following this case or you've been in the cryptocurrency world for a while now, you know that there is no such thing as clarity in the digital asset space, at least in the United States as it stands right now. So this backs up Ripple if there would be a need to go to a jury trial. Now, John Deaton, who said he has been looking into Judge Annalisa Torres' past cases and her determinations on her determinations for summary judgment, basically meaning the finality of the case, based on when she made decisions from the Daubert motions in those cases. Now, recently, just a couple of weeks ago, Annalisa Torres made the decisions on some of the Daubert motions regarding what the SEC and Ripple had excluded or included in the summary judgment. That means, according to John Deaton, that Judge Torres may have already made up her mind and is basically preparing to give this summary judgment any day now. In fact, he thinks possibly by the end of this week. Based on some of the cases that she's done this in the past for, she's decided on the same day, 2 weeks later, and in one case as much as 60 days later after she made the decisions on the Daubert motion. So right now, we are looking at any day she could be coming out and dropping this decision on the Ripple versus the SEC case. This is one to follow on an everyday basis from here on out. If you hold XRP, and if you're looking at the chart behind me, yes, that is XRP. I believe that it's decoupled from Bitcoin because of some of the reasons that I just mentioned previously. So according to John Deaton, he said if this would go more than another 30 days without a decision, this would actually majorly surprise him. But let me know in the comment section down below, do you think we're going to see a case decision this week? Everything could already be ready and lined up for that to drop. So if you want to follow along as closely with that case as possible, please subscribe to Late Night Grind. Also follow me on Twitter, as I will be retweeting information as it comes out and much more in real time. Also, you're going to want to follow guys like John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, as well as James Filan, who typically drops all of these documents the minute that they come out. And I do have the comment section back open. If you noticed previously when I was putting out videos fast and furiously, I had turned off comments because there was so much spam and so much junk. So I'm giving YouTube another shot, opening up the comments. Also follow me on Twitter if you want to have a conversation with me there. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.